Welcome back. LaGuardia Community College offers a wide range of high quality, short term, and affordable courses and certificate programs in most major industries to help you reach your goals. Some of these programs include Green Job Training. Here to share more about those programs is the Associate Director of the Green Jobs Programs at LaGuardia Community College, Alexander Seki. Alexander, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
Now, as I mentioned, LaGuardia is offering training for green jobs. But before we get into the specific program, what are green jobs and how do they differ from traditional jobs?
Well, I would say there is some overlap with traditional construction jobs. Some of the skills that, for example, electricians would have transfer very well over to solar panel installation, which is, as you may know, a big initiative here in the city. I'll say this several times more, I'm sure, but New York has very ambitious green goals, carbon emission goals. 2050, we're looking at to be 100% carbon neutral, and we're here to provide training to individuals to help us in the process and achieve those goals.
Now, I understand that, as you mentioned, green jobs kind of focus on just being a little bit more green. But with that, can you tell me a little bit more about some other examples of what a green job is for those who may be interested?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, there are essentially green jobs, kind of green concepts in all the trade skills programs that we're running. It's kind of the new way forward, right? So whether it's HVAC, right, heating, ventilation, air conditioning, refrigeration, we don't nowadays. You can't offer the training without energy savings concepts, learning about on a broader scale for buildings like concepts like heat pumps and that kind of insulation and building insulation. All these kind of concepts are part of our regular trade skills training programs. But I guess most specifically, for green jobs is solar panel installer, which I mentioned before, and a wind turbine technician, which is a big recruitment drive we're going through now, and an exciting initiative that we're part of.
Now, why did LaGuardia feel it was important to promote these green job training programs?
Well, mainly, there's going to be a lot of positions open, right? So like I mentioned, the city is a big initiative. For commercial buildings, they need to be retrofitted. All office buildings, the city has targets to go 100% carbon neutral. So there's a lot of work to be done. There's a lot of positions open. And so that as workforce development, these are areas that we target. Jobs that pay well, that have some upward mobility, and you can get without a college degree.
Now, you briefly mentioned solar panels. Can you tell me a little bit more about the program that focuses on that training? And, what can participants expect when they do, join that program?
Sure. So this is a grant-funded program, so it's tuition-free. We also offer a stipend to attend the class and a Metro card. The curriculum is based off the National Center for Construction, Education, and Research. This is in the title. It's a nationally recognized certification, becoming more broadly recognized across the country. So there's also mobility around the country if a trainee so desires. So it's a standardized curriculum that is well received by employers. Trainees will also get OSHA 30-hour and the Department of Buildings 10-hour site safety. At the end of it, we are going to refer the trainees to a employment specialist who specializes in the construction field.
Now, why are we seeing this need for, solar installation technicians in the workforce?
Well, like I said, it's becoming a much more prevalent job. Whether in the public sector, working for city government, to retrofit government buildings, public schools, and also in the private sector, like mostly in the commercial sector for office buildings, like I mentioned, but also there's a burgeoning need for solar panel installation for the residential sector, whether it's in the city or upstate or surrounding states.
Now, what I think is super interesting is that we're kind of seeing, programs like this kind of evolve to meet the needs of where, particularly right now where the city is at. Can you talk about the importance of programs like yours continuously evolving to ensure that their students are kind of meeting the needs of where the city, what the city needs at the moment?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's well put. At LaGuardia, at Workforce Development, we are always looking to get into new areas of workforce development. And particularly focusing on jobs that have, like I said before, a decent entry level starting wage with upward mobility, right? So the ability to determine, to some degree, your future in that particular employment sector, that's important for us. So we're always looking at new initiatives to get people into these jobs.
Now, you also mentioned the wind turbine technician. Can you tell me a little bit more about that program?
Yes, sure. This is so. What I've come to find out is the general public is really not so aware that all around Long Island, offshore, you can't see it from the beach, but 30 miles offshore, there's multiple wind farms in various stages of construction. Some are already built, some are in the bidding process to be built, and some are in various stages, like I said. As a result of this, there are going to be numerous technician jobs. What we train for is what's known as a wind turbine maintenance technician. It's essentially what it sounds like. As with all kind of heavy machinery or electrical equipment, it will need maintenance from time to time. It will need repair. And so we provide the training for those jobs.
Now, what I think is also pretty amazing is that for a lot of people who live in New York City, we don't really encounter, some of these things that you're talking about.
Yeah.
Why is it great to kind of just give, these students that exposure that they might not have gotten if they weren't in the program?
Yeah, I mean, New York is actually surprisingly lagging behind other areas of the country in terms of wind power development, and we are definitely lagging in terms of in comparison with parts of Europe or Asia. So what we provide is the Global Wind Organization (GWO) credentialing, which is essentially think like the OSHA for the wind industry, right? It teaches safety concepts, it teaches some of the technical concepts that they will need to know, electrical, mechanical, hydraulic, et cetera. But this is kind of, a worldwide initiative to save the planet, if that's not an exaggeration. But so this is kind of really a national effort and a worldwide effort to cut down on carbon emissions.
Well, I think it's amazing, and I love that it's exposing New Yorkers to that, because I know when I see them, I'm like, whoa, it just seems so different, just because it's not something that we see here in the city. So I love that there's an opportunity for New Yorkers to kind of get out there and learn something that will be valuable to their futures,
Yes.
especially when we're talking about mobility. Now, for those who are interested, what are some of the requirements before joining?
So eligibility to work in the United States is necessary. Also, you need to be 18 and older. Having a GED is, if not mandatory, then near to it, because some of the concepts are quite, the mathematical concepts in theory are perhaps around the 8th grade or higher level. For the wind turbine technician, being able to swim will be helpful in the event of an accident. Not having a fear of heights would also be helpful. The solar program is a lot less stringent, But essentially, yes, be able to work in the U.S. and 18 and over.
Now, I think that was I'm so glad that you kind of pointed out like some of those other requirements because I know that in New York City, sometimes people have an issue with swimming.
Yes.
And, there's so many things that are needed. So I love that you kind of, talked about those other things that we'll need. Now, in regards to that, what are some characteristics you would like for some of the recruitments to have?
Well, actually, what we look for with recruits is what's most asked for by employers, regardless of the sector. It's really less about the technical knowledge than the attitude. So I would say number one, the ability to show up on time and stay till the end of the day. Definitely timeliness and having not so many commitments outside of the educational sphere, so that it would get in the way of coming to class. But really, we're recruiting for people who are enthusiastic and motivated, and that's what employers are looking for. The employers will give the trainee, the new recruit, the actual hard skills training. What they really are looking for is a good attitude and the ability to show up on time.
Now, can you tell me a little bit more about the sessions and when can people begin applying?
Oh yeah, so we are open for recruitment. You can email greenjobs@lagcc.cuny.edu is one way. You can navigate over to the LaGuardia Workforce Development webpage, and on each page at the very bottom there'll be a apply here link. Attendance at an information session, which is online, is mandatory, just to give applicants a kind of broad sense of what they're getting into. If the applicant is still interested in pursuing it, they would apply, answer some questions, and then be invited in for a kind of intake and assessment day.
Well, with that, I want to thank you so much for joining us and educating our community about the programs that's available to them.
Thank you very much.
If you're interested in these programs, please visit the website below on the screen. Stay tuned, we have more for you right after this.